Hey guys, and welcome to our very first official Digimon Tavern episode, I should say. And I am obviously you guys know me, and I got my co-host Witch,
Hello.
and joining us today is going to be a special guest, long friend of having a friend from the we've known for many years. I know, tongue tied. Jet. So Jet is joining us today.
Oh.
And we're just gonna talk about. So he's fairly new to the Digimon TCG. He actually came aboard BT9, really, or BT8, like late BT8, moving on to BT9, right?
Yeah, it was about maybe a week or so until like BT9 came out.
Cool. So then me and Witch together, we had an idea. Like, okay, well let's one of our podcasts be let's interview Jet and see, kind of just pick at his brain and see how these new players are kind of what their struggles or not struggles is playing TCG. So starting off,
Well, actually, first we told him, "Oh, you should try to get into the game now." And it was like during BT6, and then what did he do? I'm not gonna play this. I'm not gonna play this. I'm not gonna play this now. And then what happens? Oh, I'll start playing with you guys.
Yeah, we could definitely start off with that.
Right. Okay.
So what changed your mind to want to start playing?
Well, first and foremost is the whole concept of like tabletop card games for me is the fact that you can be with another person and like interact with them face to face. So being in an entirely different state didn't appeal to me to like be that way. So like at least now we are all currently in the same state in the same city. For Discord and stuff, we can still bring it over and still have that interaction. That's like the biggest thing for me when it comes down to any sort of trading card game.
Right, but what I'm saying is when we told you this was in person.
And I was living in Texas for like the 2 years for that.
Well, that's when we first started, but when you were here is when we were actually playing. It was BT6. Anyways.
But so how was your process with beginning?
So in the beginning, the whole game state is kind of daunting at first. But it's like simple enough to get the hang of it. Start to get the flow of how the turn plays out. And then later on, you can learn, more of the advanced mechanics, like memory choking and stuff like that, and just things of that nature.
So what's your favorite color at the moment right now?
Mostly, I've been playing like black-based decks. So playing a Machine Dramon deck. Really excited about coming out for BT10. I'm going to play a DIGIMon deck fairly soon, which is also black.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say that black and like machine cyborgs, really dig those.
So what was all right, so since you talked about playing the card game stuff earlier before, I guess like most of us here, what other card games were you into before this? And how different is this from whatever you played before?
So I believe the very first card game I actually learned how to play was Yu-Gi-Oh! And I had been playing that for like years and years and years. That's how, like, that's what we were playing a lot of the times too when we linked up, us three.
Mm-hmm. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Because of which I started to dabble with Pokemon, the trading card game. Didn't care for it too much. I thought it was like really slow.
Same.
And then we all had like a little stint of Magic the Gathering for a month or two.
That was fun. That was fun. But
I honestly took to it. So like even after that, I kept playing Magic. I think what helped me get into this game a lot more was the fact that a lot of the mechanics here are similar to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Very similar. This is like, if I would have to describe it, it's like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering had a baby. No,
Well, yeah.
just cool because I like that. You know, like current state that Yu-Gi-Oh's in, I think it's unfun.
I really hope Digimon doesn't get into that. Like it already can be extremely fast paced, and so far Bandai's been doing a good job at actually posting like ban lists and limit lists and all that like relatively. I wouldn't say quickly, but you know they're doing something.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit to like listen to players, listen to people who are actually promoting your game, and taking into consideration what's working with the game and what's not.
Yeah.
Also, I think doing that is good because Konami has a history of just like not listening to the player base, and you know certain decks just run rampant. And I don't like the idea of like a turn feeling like it takes 10 minutes, and you know the other person is just like okay, and not having any like sort of board interaction is kind of not fun at all. It's like I do this, well I negate that. I do this, well I destroy that. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of the beginning, right, of how you started. So when you started, obviously there was probably, I don't know how many, but a few hundred cards out already, right? So how did you, as a new player, decide? Okay, what should I search for? What Digimon should I look at? What color should I look at? You know, like how should I go about building a deck?
So basically, what I've always done is I've taken maybe like specific characters, or in this case Digimon, and I'm like, yo, I liked the depiction of this Digimon in the show. I look it up, see what color it is, see how that color operates, see if it's my playstyle, and then go from there. I guess I just kind of pick a Digimon, see what it's got with TCG, and if I feel like I can work with it, or it's going to be like much of a hassle or not enough support, I'll just leave it alone. And it just so happens to be that black is like the Digimon that I liked.
Yeah, that was black was my first color. This was my first color that I played. Remember, which
Well, we started playing like even before. Like I remember we were thirsty. Like we were like fiending for these cards.
Oh yes.
So like, God, I don't know how many stores we drove to just to see like when they would drop the starter decks or whatever. I remember we went to So basically, how it first happened for us is like we actually just came across them from going to this card shop in the mall by my house, and they just I don't know if it was like a pre-release or something like that, but somebody had like a bunch of their bulk just sitting there, and like, you know, me and Spidey just like picked through that bulk like crazy. And then I remember we just so the first decks were definitely red and blue. That's what we played.
Yeah,
Because we ended up getting the structure decks for that.
Yeah, you already know I have a terrible memory, but yeah, got the red tie, and then when I saw that Lord Greymon that was color black, that blocker reboot one, so beautiful.
Okay, well that was the first deck you made, but as of what we played, it was definitely like a mix of our, you know, I mixed my Metal Garurumon starter deck was like Metal Seedramon because you know, Seedramon's my favorite Digimon, which is finally getting some support. Finally, you know. But my first deck that I actually made from scratch was Hercules Kabuterimon.
Oh yeah, man, that was annoying to go against too.
Now you, I'm a block.
Well, yeah, the piercing with the new one, but
well, that's actually a pretty good segue. So, I mean, I just said it. It's actually Seedramon and Myotismon. Those are my favorite Digimons. But what are your guys' favorite Digimon?
Well, I think Jed already started. He said Machine Dramon, right?
Yeah, Machine Dramon's definitely there. Chaos Dramon, obviously. I actually like gravitate more towards like the villains or combinations, because I like Chimeramon, Millenniumon. Those guys are cool.
I guess I would be the opposite then, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah, you would definitely be the normie.
Yeah, so I do love Black or Greymon though. Yeah, but pretty much just kind of the usual Greymons and Paleodramon. And again, it's like remember which we were talking. It's like it's not my fault they make the cards that I like OP.
Oh my goodness, and Impelodramon, that was just yeah. That's one thing, Jay. You should be happy you weren't around on some of these sets because some of the decks that were just ridiculous.
Joking right now. The bane of my existence right now is Death X. I simply hate that card.
Which, shameless plug, we started streaming on Twitch, so if you guys want to catch us in action, feel free to follow our Twitch, or my Twitch, I should say. I'll link it down below.
And you can play with us as well.
Yep, definitely.
That's another a good segue. Another question, a more group question. I know it's supposed to be more about the new player experience, but you know, playing the game for a while now. I mean, I'm sure even Jack can relate to the question. What's a Digimon from playing the card game that you actually like now because of the card? And then what's one that you hate?
I have to think about it, actually. I don't know. I can't, off the top of my head, I for sure can't think. Oh, you know what? Mirage Galgomon. I don't like him. I don't like him, but I like his whole card with the he's unblockable, and then for every 4 cards that your opponent has, you gain a memory. So it's kind of like the EX1 Metal Garurumon. So we got that before that. Metal Garurumon is same thing, right? Except Metal Garurumon, it's what you have in your hand. So
Yeah.
I actually started liking him more, obviously, and there's some other ones that I just completely can't think of right now, but that's one for starters.
For me, definitely Magnadramon. I remember I never liked this Digimon, and ever since I made that deck for it, like I have like a new found respect for the Digimon. I actually kind of like it now.
Well, I didn't like it. Now I like it a whole lot less because I play against it. So,
I can relate to that.
mm,
So I don't have many decks right now that I feel are viable. I mean, my only thing I can think of is the Leomon deck I've got going on, but even that can take some work, so like I don't even know about that. We'll say from like the various videos that I've watched, I definitely have like respect for like the Digimon line, Magnadramon, like the yellow deck that you play.
Yeah.
Because just like based off of memory in the show, those were like the characters that really had to take all the way to the end in order to really show its full potential. Just seeing the way that they play and how like so aggressive they can be, I totally dig that. If I were to choose like a secondary color to play, it'd probably be yellow.
Can't go wrong with yellow. So when you were learning, right, or as you know, as you're still kind of learning a few, little tricks and whatnot, what has been the hardest or most difficult thing to grasp? So for a lot of people, for example, especially starting off, they couldn't, just remember to draw, which leads me into another shameless
plug. I like that.
into my merch of don't forget to draw. And that's where that idea came from, right? It's like, man, these guys, especially when I was teaching my girlfriend how to play, she would always forget to draw. She digivolved, didn't draw. It was her turn. She drew, but then that was the only time they drew. And I think that's because a lot of card games, they're so... a lot of card games, it's the beginning of your turn, you draw, and that's it. That's the only time you really draw. So I think that's where this whole difficulty or concept to get around of kind of really remembering to draw every time you digivolve. Yeah, just to build off of that.
I think the reason for that too is this is actually the first card game that I've played. Especially for me, I came off of Pokemon. Like that was my main card game, like crazy. This is the first card game I played where you can't search your deck. Like that, I'm assuming this is why we have such strong draw power. Every time you digivolve, you get to draw, because there is no actual way to search your deck for something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Outside of just checking the top 3 or 4 cards of your deck and then putting them on the bottom, there's no way to be like search for
Yeah,
a Digimon in your deck or anything and then shuffle your deck kind of stuff. So like this is totally different. I don't think I've ever played a card game where you don't have any sort of search power like that.
Yeah, so then so I guess, going back to my question is, what do you think has been the most difficult thing to grasp in this TCG for you?
I think right now one of the biggest challenges I have that I'm currently working through is when to promote. When is a good time to promote, and when is a better time to just kind of keep them in the back.
Oh, gotcha.
Like keep them in the breeding area and just build it up there, and then that big body on the board, and then swing.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I don't want to say that's new, but that came back, or is a big thing now in this set, because all the cards are build up to your mega swing, kind of OTK style. Back in the day when you had even, Lord Nightmon, you had Rookie Rush, you didn't keep him down there. You just got into your rookie and you moved up, So really it's just, and I think that's one thing that I do like about the TCG is that with every new set that comes out, it changes. You're not gonna be consistent on, Lord Nightmon's gonna be on top, because Lord Nightmon was on top for only when it came out, I think. After that new set, she no longer. I mean, you didn't see people playing it,
Yeah, I mean, and I might be like naive to be saying this, but it seems to me that like even the play styles of older sets, like you're still able to kind of play that way. Like if you're not facing off against like a super meta deck where you have to be like building up to your mega in your breeding zone and then moving out and then OTKing, that you can sort of play in that style and still be able to sort of contend against other decks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think that's cool that like with each new set they add more to the game, but they don't take away from it. It seems like in like most of the card games I've played is like add something new, and like I'll speak from just like my time with Yu-Gi-Oh, since that's the longest time I've played a card game, is that every time they created like a new sort of summon function, it changed the entire game, where like old ways of playing just were obsolete. Yeah, like when like synchro summoning came out, that was the thing for the longest. Then when XZ summon came out, hardly saw synchro monsters, and like so on and so forth. For each new variant, like card variant they made, the old way of playing became obsolete. Felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say that about this thing, but I don't see hybrids dying anytime, like, especially now with with BT10 coming out with the cross save stuff. You're literally dumping all these cards underneath the tamers, and then you could just hybrid Digivolve on top of the tamer, and depending on how you have it, they would get all those inherits, and I'm like, that's just disgusting. I mean, how good that will actually be, I don't know. But
yeah, but a lot of those cards, I think their effects trigger. It'll say like if it has X cross in its trait or something like that.
Yeah, some of them, but I mean,
Still,
regardless,
yeah.
Just hope that doesn't get out of hand. That sounds like it could definitely just change the entire metagame.
It's going to. Going back to what you were saying, that's why I love Pokemon, but I can't get into the TCG. I mean, you can get into it easily, but it's like all those cards that came out that you like. For example, like there's this Dragonite card that Witch knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And eventually it's gonna be out of rotation. In other words, I won't be able to use it. So at that point, I'm kind of like, well, then what's the point? And I know that's where it comes for the whole, oh, you collect them and blah blah blah. But that's one thing I don't like about Pokemon as opposed to Digimon is that you can go all the way back, which you do see now. You see a lot of starter deck one ties, starter deck one
Yeah.
Greymon, and they're all so that's what's cool about it. That's what I like about it.
Well, I mean, in a way, that's Pokemon's way of keeping the game healthy. You know, it's if you can imagine Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, like imagine if that actually had a rotation thing going on. You know, some of these decks wouldn't be as busted, and
Definitely.
I don't think Digimon is at that point where things are super broken and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we had the Alphamon that was running pretty rampant. You had Mother D Reaper, but I honestly don't think any of the like top tier decks are like, damn, dude, like this is extremely game changing. Like, there's nothing that can stop this one deck and stuff like that. So, I mean, and that goes back to what we said earlier about Bandai actually doing ban list and limit list and all that stuff. Pokemon don't really have that. Like, they probably banned like one or two cards, like from what I know, that's about it. But other than that, yeah, the problem with Pokemon is you gotta have deep pockets to play it competitively, but yeah, it does rotate out, so it's just gonna be spending more and more money. So
Exactly. So for this segment, we can move it along. We could turn the tables over, and we can have Jet ask us questions. As I guess, I mean, I would like to call ourselves veterans right at this point. We've been playing since BT1. So any questions that you would have in general, or just specifically for me or for Witch, or
Oh yeah, I got a question for you. Do you feel like a big man when you swing at my security for +5? Like a big man when you do that?
oh man,
maybe?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. So I guess kind of what sort of thing are you hoping to see in the future of like the Digimon TCG? And I'll
Digimon support.
Oh. So do you want to see more like colors that are like unconventional for certain Digimon? Like for instance, like the red and purple Imperial Dramon. Like do you want to see more stuff like that, or would you rather them just give more support to what's already around?
I'll let you start it off, Witch.
I said what I said. Digimon support. No, I'm just playing.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not playing about that. I mean, it would be cool to see other stuff. Like, dude, we have so many Vmons. Like, it's ridiculous. There's so many Impildramon stuff. Don't get me wrong. I like Impildramon, but it's just, there's other, we could have got. I mean, we already got some Shine Greymons. But you know what I mean? Like, they could have made more of those, or there's other characters that you could make more cards of. I thought that was a perfect chance to maybe capitalize more on like Ken's side of things, where they actually had the Shademon and the Shadramon, and you could do more Dino Beamon stuff. I mean, yeah, they did it, but they also still made Impildramon, Paildramon stuff, so it's just like more variety. I'm tired of seeing Impildramon and War Greymon. No offense, but what is it? This whole time we've already gotten like what 2 or 3 Gallantmons, and
I think there's 4 now.
Yeah, and then like this is our like first time really getting stuff for like Henry, even though I don't care about Terriermon stuff, but you know what I mean. There's other tamers that you could make stuff for, and we're just hardly getting any of it.
So before I forget, which I'm already kind of forgetting, but going back to the whole Ken thing that you were saying, can I just say that they really dropped the ball with Shadramon and making him an armor, or giving him armor purge?
Yeah,
I know his effects are disgusting anyway, but come on.
Yeah, I know exactly. That was probably like one of the coolest armors you can get back in like Dusk and Dawn. Like I had no idea who the hell he was before.
Same. Yes, exactly.
that is my son.
Yeah, he has few words to say as well.
Yeah.
Oh, are
So-
you done?
Oh,
Yeah, that was it.
Go ahead, you guys on that?
I was
You
just gonna ask. You asked me what decks I like to play. What are some decks that you just cannot play? What colors can you just not play? It just doesn't register in your brain.
Red. Hands down red.
For David, yeah, red. It's not so much that you can't play it, or it's just I don't know. It's just not like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
That really is not my play style. Like it unless like they came out with like a red Digimon, then I'm playing it. Like that, there's no questions asked. But
So, it's,
Other
so,
than
so
that-
yours is tied to the specific Digimon.
not really. You know, I like decks that make me think a little more. I'm not. Red to me is a little
Wow.
brain dead. You know,
Wow,
I'm not saying it like
Whoa.
that.
Thumbs up.
Yes, I am.
That's how
But
it came out.
it definitely came out that way. Well, you think about it, man. You literally build up a stack that, you know, how Jet said earlier, you're swinging for +5, and it's just like, but you literally can make a Digimon swing with like +4 security, right? And then you can play a delicate plan and not have to worry about anything.
Correct.
And
However-
and that's it.
However, you still have to change, modify it a little bit depending on the deck that you play.
No, I'm sorry. I gotta play Tie first, and then I can do all that.
You know it. Gotta make sure you're set at 3 first.
Face fighting.
What's
if
up?
he doesn't like red, deck can you just not play?
Wait, what?
Deck do you just not like playing? Color.
There isn't a color I don't like playing.
Oh, good.
I've played. I've played every color. The colors that I least play is probably green. I mean, I made Terriermon, but that's just because I wanted to make a video on them. Green is probably my least played. I don't dislike it. I like green. I like all the colors. Some obviously make you think more than others. Purple and yellow are definitely in that advanced intermediates, depending how you build the deck, which is red. And red is the easiest to play, then maybe blue or black, green,
We'll say what's cool though. I will say what's cool about this game is if I'm gonna take it back to like something like Magic. Magic has the same amount of colors, more or less, I believe, as like Digimon does right now. And each color does something like very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And while the same could be said about like Digimon and their colors, there's some decks that play like other colors. So like for me right now, this black deck kind of feels like playing like a red deck and just like swinging big.
Yeah.
The grandest Kawagamon deck I'm playing definitely feels like that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely with those, because they're like big swingers. I forgot what I was gonna say, but to answer your question on what do I want for more support or anything like that, I actually want them to. So, with the new reveals, you got the Mega Garglemon coming out now. So, as long as they keep pushing out support that's gonna help older cards come back, like we got Rust Tyrannomon that's gonna come back, we got a Seigermon that's gonna come back, we got the card that I just said, Mega Garglemon. So now they need to add more support or create new cards, such as Piedmon, Puppetmon, because those cards were only good in BT1. And
Such a different time, bro.
yeah,
It's such a different time.
night and day.
Imagine.
Night and day. So
I think it's actually kind of cool that they're doing this now, right? Like it takes certain card games years before they do something like such old archetype, lack of better words. I think it's really cool that they're like doing that. They're not like leaving those other cards to hang out and dry.
yeah, Definitely. All right. So, any last questions? Any last thoughts, words, specifically on new experience with the TCG, or how you guys feel about it in general? We'll just kind of go around, and then I'll just end it off. So we could start with Jet, since he is our guest of honor.
We'll say that Digimon game is
Not what you expected?
yeah, no, not what I expected. Truthfully, not what I expected. So much fun to play, and if you're a new player like myself, and you're sort of looking for a place to start, would suggest joining Spidey's Discord and with those guys there. I mean, you can probably find a couple matches a day. Seems to me that like a lot of the people there are like pretty cool about teaching newer players. So, and it's just fun. It's fun and easy to pick up. So I encourage you, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and get you a starter deck and then get going.
All right. So for any of the new players and the current players, I'd recommend either don't buy gold Rapidmon armor, and for those who do have it, I would recommend ripping it in half and throwing it in the garbage. That is my advice.
Why?
I fucking hate that card. I really dislike that card.
It's okay. I'll use it against you right now when we get off.
Okay, so now I know it's time to go to bed, and that something just came up with my son. Yeah, nah, it's definitely fun. I will say this is also still probably one of the few card games where the starter decks themselves actually aren't terrible and can be modified to be competitive. So
Seriously.
definitely do that.
We definitely had some shitty starter decks.
I mean, I never said they were great. I said there are some.
I think more of now.
Look, think about it this way. You could literally grab 2 Imperial decks, and if you put some of the cards together from the deck, just so you can have multiple copies of them, you already have yourself a pretty decent deck.
Yeah, same with Masterman.
I don't know about all that.
But I mean, you can't do a 2 of the black tie starter deck.
Oh no.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. It's been nice chatting with Jet. Thanks for your input. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, of course, man. Anytime. And again, it's just I forgot where the hell I was going with this, but it's fun. Obviously, come and join us on Discord if you guys want to play against us. Make sure you are subbed. If you guys like this, there you go. I reminded myself. If you guys have any questions or any topics you guys would like for us to talk about in a future podcast, or if you guys want us to bring, any questions for us, it could be for Jet, it could be for myself or Witch, or even if you just want a guest star or, whatever it is, feel free to let us know. And thank you so much for taking the time to just sit there and listen to 3 normal people talk. Kind of normal, but anyway. But we will catch you guys.
Not normal.
We will catch you guys on the next podcast.
# Digimon support.